is an unusual movie. Well, at first I don't even know whether it's a real movie at all. And I'm not a real voice either. I am QI, Quehenberger Intelligence, but it's not about me. It's about the Q spirit.
Yes, I can definitely feel the Q spirit.
The Q spirit.
Q spirit.
Q spirit, I actually feel it when...
What is this Q spirit supposed to be? I have no idea, but we're gonna find out.
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the start, I don't wanna speak. Talking all that good, so I just hit you with the please. Running up the score like Tyreek, I'm going deep. Watch me how I'm saucing, I be spreading it with ease. You gon' see the piece.
Okay, that was impressive. But what was that? Just a moment. A quick search of my data has revealed they are all employees of Quehenberger. Now I really want to know, what is the Q spirit? We start our research. Where? Of course, at people's homes.
We are there in my building shell, as you can perhaps see. My actual workplace for the weekend. If someone asks me, yes, I was on the building site.
Okay, I'm not going to ask why we're on the building site, but how do you build a house yourself?
As always, you need a strong team in the background. My whole family supports me. My dad, for example, the construction manager, who organizes and delegates and tells everyone what to do. I'm more in the role of the implementer.
And what does this have to do with the Q spirit?
Everyone has their strengths. Everyone also has their weaknesses. As a leader, you have to, especially in the company, know where are the strengths and weaknesses of my team. If you have a strong team around you, you are strong. Otherwise, I wouldn't get far on my own without my team.
Interesting. So the Q spirit is not an extreme sport, but more teamwork. Playing bocce together in summer after work. That's only possible here.
So it's very important for us to work according to the motto. Together we are strong, together we can do anything. Treating each other with respect, learning from each other, simply mastering everything.
What really makes your team?
Valuing each other's opinions, that's our strength as a team.
Yes, like a puzzle. Basically pieces that have come together.
Wow, that's so sweet. And even the whole team is jumping for joy. And while we're on the subject of jumping, some people also do it in their free time, when playing volleyball.
Volleyball has simply been a part of my life for 18 years now. Hello, I'm Dominica. When I come into the dressing room, I leave all my worries, all my problems behind. I just switch off, I go onto the court, I just play volleyball. The most important thing is the next point, the next set. The emotions of the game, the team, that's what you come here for. You know you are part of the team, and that means you have to be there for the team.
Wow, and how is this at work?
I think team at Quehenberger means exactly the same as in volleyball. It's sticking together, supporting each other, especially when there are mistakes or problems. Whenever I have problems, I can go to someone from the company and just solve the problems together. I just can't imagine working alone. I always need people around me, and that's what I value in my work. That is, of course, a cool feeling when you're playing in the Premier League. Well, that's always somehow, you have this feeling that you're important to someone.
How do you get there, playing volleyball in the Premier League?
My sister is my great role model. She's 5 years older than me, and of course she started earlier. And I always wanted to be like her. That's why I simply imitated her and have been playing volleyball for 18 years. I think I'm now better than my sister at volleyball.
Okay, I'm starting to get a feel for the Q spirit. But what does sailing have to do with it?
Yeah, I started when I was a kid, about 10 years old. That was just automatic for us. Sailing is simply a pleasure because you only move with the wind, and that is pure relaxation.
Why sailing? What is special about it?
The special thing about sailing is you can't sail against the wind. You have to see how you can get to the other side despite the headwind. Sailing teaches us very well that you have to accept the conditions as they are. When there is a lot of wind, you have to be prepared. Also, when there is little wind or when wind changes direction. In all cases, it is important to act quickly, to have the right tactics, to have the right strategy. And it is very important that the team functions well, that we are quick at turning, faster than the others. Everyone has their task. It has to work precisely. And then you'll be leading.
Very exciting. But what does sailing have to do with Quehenberger?
Quehenberger with our Quehenberger Q spirit. We are simply fast, responsive, faster than the competition. And that is simply great team spirits. So we are not a large, cumbersome vessel. We are a sailing boat, but a bigger one.
Aha! The Q spirit is more than just teamwork. And Quehenberger is not a large steamer, but an agile sailing boat. Well said.
I work very internationally. There is an enormous force behind it, and I believe this interaction is a very essential element. What every department, every warehouse, every driver actually does. That is part of the whole thing.
Speaking about the driver,
what was the attraction of it? Well, sometimes it might bother Paul, but I enjoy it. I simply have a better view from the car. I enjoy it. It can be hard work, but above all, it has to be fun. Well, I had to get a strong back, be confident, and listen to different opinions. Someone once said I should be in the kitchen cooking rather than behind the wheel of a truck. But otherwise, I've mostly received positive feedback. The company, the variety at work, the pay, all excellent, and I'm satisfied. I'm happy to be a driver.
Good morning, my name is Rudolf Neubauer, and I've been with the company for 19 years. Normally, I have to walk faster. Our job? Handover, takeover of all vehicles. A lot of vehicles come to us every day. We have to check everything, that the condition of the vehicle is picobello. Check condition. Inside, outside. Check tires. Mileage. Then we have fewer accidents. Then fewer will happen. And everyone is on the road and driving. That's my goal. The same as when jumping. The control. That is important. Important.
What did he just say? Control is important, just like when jumping. What does he mean by jumping?
I jumped for the first time when I was 15. Now I'm a bit older. I've been jumping all my life. I've done a few hundreds, probably more, thousands of jumps in my life. I always need the adrenaline in my blood. I can't do without it. Every weekend, or every other weekend, when I'm at the airport, I do 10 to 20 jumps. From 1,500 meters to 4,000 meters. My favorite is from 4,000 meters, that's for sure. Playing with and in the air for a long time. Air is like water. You can play with the air, it feels like swimming. It's the same. Only the speed is a bit higher than in the water. But if you're flying at 200 kilometers per hour, then you go down. Then you're like a bird. It's good for your heart, your body, and your head. Your head is completely clear. Then you go to work. You have good power. You have everything. That's my life. In my first life, I was definitely a bird. Every time the plane ascends up to 300 meters, I'm afraid. Always. Always. If someone says they have no fear or respect for it, that's the best way to the grave. Everyone who skydives, everyone who puts their heart into it, says the same thing. We have fear too. We always have respect. Normal jumping doesn't work without that. If you don't have respect, if you lose respect or fear, then you're dead immediately. You only make that mistake once. That's it.
Unbelievable. So the Q spirit also includes conscientiousness and confidence in your own abilities, because there is a lot at stake.
If you buy me a parachute with a Quehenberger sign, I'll jump with it immediately, anywhere.
And if you haven't noticed by now, humor is also part of the Q spirit. But some employees are not to be messed with.
Football is simply a great way of life for me. It's just great to be in a community like this, because the way it has developed over the last few years, the sport in Austria is great for me to watch. 6 years ago, football was just a foreign sport here in Gmunde. This is how it looks now, 6 years later. We almost always have a full stadium.
Is super nice anyway, as long as you're not part of the other team on the pitch. So football is your physical balance, isn't it?
Especially on television, it always looks like this. You see these 11 players running together. That's it, but football is totally different. It's also called chess on the pitch.
Football is chess on the grass? I'll have to ask my American AI colleague about that. That's right, she says.
We have a move called
H, fly, chicken, positive, sorrow, right, speedo, left, bozo.
That's one of our moves. You have to know all of that.
So a lot of brain power in sport after all. Are there any similarities to Quehenberger?
You have to try something new every time. It's called drive. To reposition yourself again and again. To adapt. How is the defense standing? What are they doing? Of course, that's the same in the working world for us at Quehenberger. We have a very dynamic market environment. And every day you have to look anew at how you can reorient yourself. And that's what I like about sports here, in football and also in our company at Quehenberger. There was the COVID crisis. Now we have this war in Ukraine with a very high inflation. But from my perspective, Quehenberger has always managed to adapt to this market environment and consistently deliver better results. And of course, in my view, that's also thanks to all the employees who work at Quehenberger. Team is simply everything. We have the saying, one team, one family. That means we are a team. We are a family.
And while we're on the subject of family...
My name is Elizabeth Korb, and I work at Quehenberger.
My name is Elizabeth Korb, and I work at Quehenberger. The two of them are like they're wound up from early in the morning until late at night. So they really do keep me on my toes all the time. Part-time and being a manager is of course always a challenge. I have 2 small children who are both still of school age.
How do you juggle it all?
Of course, as a manager, I can't say, it's 12 o'clock now. I drop my pen and go home and am no longer available. For me, it often means simply being available or to do some follow-up work in the afternoon. But the company also gives me the flexibility I need to be there for the children. So it's always a give and take for me.
This compatibility of family and work gives me, as a father, the opportunity to bring both private and professional life under one roof in the best possible way. I can take my children to kindergarten in the morning, take them to school, make their sandwiches. The attitude to life that develops from this is actually priceless for us.
The Q Spirit and family get along well. Our next employee likes photography. Why?
You can simply capture life's beautiful moments. That's so important these days. We live in such a fast-paced world. Everything goes by so quickly, and the day is over so quickly. That way, you can always capture the beautiful moments. That's the beauty of it.
Family and work, how is that going together for you?
I started at Quehenberger in 2018 with a trainee program, but I became a mom after a year and a half. I was actually still in between my training, and then, despite my pregnancy, I went to school as a pregnant woman. In the second year, I did my final apprenticeship exam, successfully, so to speak. With Quehenberger, it was very great in cooperation. It was very accommodating. There is always a solution for everything, even when it's not always easy. And you always have to stay positive.
A really touching story. I would definitely have watery eyes if I wasn't an AI. Compatibility with family? Check. And what else?
Sport gives me new energy every day, and it's the perfect balance. I like running and being outside in nature, hiking, skiing in winter, of course. And I also enjoy training at home.
How do you deal with the sporting challenges?
There were certainly one or two peaks that I wanted to reach, and even when I couldn't go any further, I reached them. You need stamina in sport, and you often need it at work too.
Stamina is important, of course, but that's certainly not the reason why you're at Quehenberger.
There's variety, and above all, it's fun. I feel very comfortable. We are a great team, a very young and dynamic team, and it's really great fun to be there.
I just like it when things move forward. And that's the case at Quehenberger every day. It's super dynamic, always stepping on the gas and working. You can hear it here as well.
I just like it at Quehenberger because it is simply a very open team, a young team, a dynamic team. There is always a team spirit. We stick together, and the work is rich in variety. For me, the Q spirit is simply that we always stick together when something happens and find a solution for everything together. No one is alone. We are always very united, and there's always this togetherness.
Now, I'm a coach in a football team, a children's team. What I try to teach them in training is that you can only really be successful as a team. No matter how good one player is, if the entire team isn't right, the opposing team will always be stronger if they work together and collaborate.
Right. All of that sounds quite logical. You can get further together than alone, and yet each individual has to perform. And sometimes that involves overcoming obstacles.
It's pure relaxation for when I can ride uphill, away from traffic, enjoying the peace and quiet, enjoying nature, the views. And then simply the transition downhill, jumping over roots and rocks, driving over them, taking banked turns, taking jumps. It's actually an addiction to the challenge. If you have a rock in front of you or a very rooty passage, you can't do it slowly, that doesn't work. You have to choose the right speed, the right line. And that's actually the thrill. Either you stop at the top, don't do it, or you try it, then you have to go for it. I just enjoy it when things like that work. When a half-meter drop, that's how we call it when you jump off a rock, works, and that only works with speed. It doesn't work slowly at all. That's actually switching off, because you have to be in the flow. The best runs are actually those where you don't think too much, where you're just flexible. You realize that at the end, when you get to the bottom, you know exactly, today was great. I'm often here at the bike park. It always looks the same, but it isn't. It's much more difficult, more slippery today. And that's the same in the working world. There are good phases. We have been extremely flexible for 3 years. Shops close, shops open, deliveries have to be made. And at the end of the day, it's also a bit of a flowing river. If it works, it's also a river. A longer river, of course. This is what makes the challenge. That's the development of all of us, that we actually live with it.
The challenges and difficult phases are also part of it. Our journey now takes us from the mountains to the hard port with a summer feeling.
What makes basketball special is that it is a fast game. You quickly change between offense and defense, and you are always fully engaged. Unlike in soccer, where a defender might have a moment of rest when the ball is at the front, that doesn't happen in basketball. There is always action. In basketball, you are a team that trusts each other implicitly. And it's the same at work. You are a well-coordinated team.
What makes Quehenberger special for you?
I am happy when I come to our office in the morning and everyone is already busy. It just puts you in a good mood when you come to the office in the morning. At Quehenberger, it's all about simply getting on with each other as a team. We get on well with each other. You get along well. Everyone knows what they have to do. You can trust each other blindly, and you work well together and have fun doing it.
It is my hobby that I have been doing since 2011. The foundation of a bee family is the queen bee, which is responsible for sharing and delegating all work tasks to one bee within the bee family. The second basic link in a bee family is the worker bees, who are responsible for maintaining the beehive, collecting enough food for everyone, and being able to survive for the next year. The pure nature and environment make me relaxed, and I have great desire to come here again so that I can rest and recharge my batteries.
A Quehenberger beekeeper. I'll remember that. I was also told that detectives also work at Quehenberger. What does that mean?
I love working with numbers. And at the same time, since I'm in the Department of Loading Equipment, it's also kind of like detective work, looking for where the pallet is, what's wrong with the booking. And that is actually a lot of fun and a lot of joy.
What is the Q spirit for you?
The fact that a hand-in-hand works, phone calls are made, at the same time an email is written, and in a very short time actually through this joint work. Because you know, somehow instinctively, who takes care of what? There is simply a regular process, a quick reaction, and therefore fast, effective work and fulfillment of the customer's request.
What motivates me are, on the one hand, my colleagues and the family atmosphere that we have, the collegiality. Some of us here are not just colleagues, we are also friends, and that really motivates you. The togetherness that everyone tries to support everyone, and when he sees, hey, he's got a lot at the moment, I'll help, I'll support him, whether it's just work-related or emotionally. He's not feeling well today, I have a chat with him. What makes Quehenberger what it is? The family atmosphere. Once you've been in a harbor and then you realize what is actually behind it, normally you stand behind the computer and type away, placing orders. But in the end, if you would travel there, you have no idea. But for example, go to Hamburg and see a harbor like that, you realize and see how much work goes into it.
And when you realize that we are now importing something, let's say from China to us, I'm mainly responsible for air freight import. How is it packaged? What is the whole process? How does it actually get here from all over the world? It's really cool and incredible.
In the end, it is always a transport, but the diversity of the ways of transport is fascinating. You have to respond to the customer and everything dynamically changes. Sometimes I have to transport this type of good, so you always have to adapt.
At Quehenberger, things travel around the whole world, also our employees.
For me, the most important thing was actually a torch. Because I spent quite a lot of time in the outback, I walked around with a torch. Because, for example, you have to constantly check that there are no snakes on the way or any dangerous animals.
Christine has traveled the world.
That's just not, let's say, the typical all-inclusive holiday. It was definitely more of an adventure. I was traveling with a backpack very minimally equipped.
What do you need for a trip like this?
Apart from money, you definitely need a certain amount of courage. It was very important that you route and set your goals at the beginning, that you really experience what you set out to do.
Wow, really beautiful. And then?
I came back to Quehenberger because I feel comfortable here, because of my colleagues, because of the tasks from my daily work. In any case, it is always challenging, but not overwhelming.
And when challenges arise, What then?
Simply work as a team, I think. Everyone has their task. There has to be cohesion, you have to be able to trust your colleagues, and you also spend a lot of time there. That must also be fun in a certain way. You shouldn't lose the fun in life either. And that's where friendships develop. And that's actually like a small family, you could say. You can find all that at Quehenberger.
That sounds wonderful. But why are you actually sitting on the tennis court?
I've actually always been on the tennis court. It's always been my great passion. It was actually always my dream as a child. I always wanted to be a professional tennis player. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. I was in the world rankings. My best position was ETP 700 and in Austria between the 10 and 15 best. I was in my early 20s. But then I also realized that I probably wouldn't be able to do that. And then I went on to study law. And that's actually my second educational path, so to say. For me, a tennis match is like a whole life, because you experience highs and lows during a match. You then have to try to challenge these ups and downs. And that's also reflected in your normal life. You have highs and you also have setbacks. You just have to deal with these things as best you can. This will also help you in the rest of your life, also in your private life, in your professional life. These experiences will also help you achieve other goals in your life. And I think that's simply very important, a good school of life.
Tennis as a school of life. So you're a solo warrior?
Nobody can become a champion on their own. So the better you get, the more you actually have to make sure that you build a team around you, where you feel comfortable. It won't work any other way, you can't do it alone.
Yes, former tennis pros also work at Quehenberger. But not only that, also former rock stars.
Then at some point, I think when I was 16, then I thought, let's give it a go in a really dirty cellar. We played a concert, a completely normal first concert. That was a real challenge. The problem is, I'm actually very shy, so I don't like being the center of attention. But as soon as you're on stage and with your colleagues, well, it's almost like a family. Things have progressed, so we've come a long way. For me, I have learned that I get calmer in some situations. The compromises you have to make in the band. For example, the electric guitarist wants one thing, the drummer wants another, I want something else. It's exactly the same at work. You just have to be a team player. Everyone has to give their all. You are only as strong as your worst link. You can't suddenly retune the guitar during the song. Then the whole thing just doesn't fit together anymore. And it's the same at work. For me, it's important that it's a team. This is awesome. You come in and have fun. There's always a bit of gas behind it. I feel really comfortable. I feel respected. I feel needed. I feel recognized. I think the most important thing for a person is that you know that you exist in your work.
You realize that there's continuous development. We don't stand still. We work very sustainably. You also realize, of course, that there are opportunities for career advancement, even for a young person. And that motivates you every day anew.
I really believe that at Quehenberger, everyone has every opportunity.
I always want to continue my education, so much so that I will be starting a master's degree in auto. So I'll be studying alongside my job, and that was also the criterion for my recruitment. And I have to say that Quehenberger is really great, because that's not a problem. It's fully supported.
Let's go, Marshall! Let's
I have the feeling that at Quehenberger, people simply see if you enjoy your work and if you want to do more, and if you want to develop further. And the opportunity is given, and I think that's really great.
I'm already in my 23rd year at Quehenberger. I have to say it has really shaped me. And then to see the development we have the last few years, especially since 2009, 2010, is simply sensational. It's a pleasure because ultimately we all want to be successful. And when you're allowed to be part of the success, then it makes you very happy.
We have to communicate more or less like a family. Because they see me more often than their mom. And that's how our whole life will be. And that's how we have to work together. Here, you're not just a number, but a real person, a real human. You are Manuel. You are the specialist for this and that. And that's why I feel so comfortable here.
None of us can know and be able to do everything. In a team, you have all the skills and competences that we need to face the challenges and solve them. Together, it's more fun. Together, it's better. And together, we get further.
And now back to the all-important question. What is the Q spirit? After all the stories and characters, as a super rational AI, I still can't answer that easily, but I'll give it a try. I believe it's the people, with all their unique hobbies, all their individual strengths, who work together as a team and overcome every challenge. It's the joy and motivation that everyone brings, and the ambition and determination that drive Quehenberger forward. It is the passion that we all feel, and that lives within all of us. The Q spirit is therefore the spirit of Quehenberger and all the people who work here. Wow, almost mystical, but then again quite normal, quite everyday. But enough talk now. You can only really feel the Q spirit when you simply talk to the people at Quehenberger